We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son. I'm fuzzy on the whole good, bad thing.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Hey everybody, we want to welcome you back once again to another edition of Crossing the Streams, the co-stream live production between the Video Rangers podcast and the Movie Madness podcast. I am your host, Doug, and hopefully soon to be an honorary ranger, Mike, if you guys will ever anoint me a ranger. Ding! And once again, joined by my co-host, he is back again, Mr. Mike Ranger from the Video Rangers podcast.
Hello, Doug. How are you?
Good. I'm really happy for you to be back, get you back on the mics. We were lucky enough for Jeremy, my co-host from Movie Madness podcast, to jump on last week and pick up the load. And we had a blast last week, but I'm really looking forward to talking about some stuff tonight.
I actually thought Jeremy was amazing.
Well, you two you've kind of said you share a brain, and
I know it was a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was freaking me out, man.
It's always great when we can kind of keep the exact same tone, but we didn't have the impersonations. We had the movie lines, but we just didn't have the voice. Now I know
we'll see what we can do about that.
Oh, great! Because I'm looking forward to more impersonations from you because it always makes the show more fun. And I think we've got a really good show for you guys tonight. We've got some people already in the comments, and thank you guys for joining us. And, keep hitting us with these comments as the show goes on, because you guys are what makes the show better. If you guys would like to get a hold of us in some other way than just in the comments, you guys can always email us, moviemadnesspodcast@gmail.com. You can call the voicemail, which soon will be a call-in number eventually, if I can get all the technical issues figured out, which is 260-573-0015. You can tweet to us at Movie Madness Pod, post on our Facebook page, which is also at Movie Madness Pod, and the final place you can find us is the Ultimate Movie Geeks community on Facebook. Great community. If you like talking movies, really good people there. You're never going to get harassed or, made feel dumb for liking movies that I like, because, they've been super nice to me, even with all my bad movie picks. But Mike, where can they find you?
Oh, well, you can just type in Video Rangers Podcast and we'll pop up, or you can email us at videorangerspodcast@gmail.com, and I will happily respond, because I get 3 emails and they're all spam. That's it.
Looking at the comments, we got Mike's in the comments. Mike's a good friend of mine, another Mike.
Hello, Michael.
From a long time. Mike is one of the coolest guys I know, one of the funniest guys I know. I'm sure we'll hear some good, fun comments from Mike. But we've got a great show for you guys tonight. We're gonna kind of pitch a movie to you. We're gonna pitch the COVID-19 movie in the first segment. We're gonna do our best disaster movies, the second segment. Then we're gonna look into do our verses. We're gonna take on Lethal Weapon versus Die Hard, 2 of the best action movies of the 80s. Big stars. Mel Gibson, Bruce Willis. Who do you think will win out of versus? We'll find out in just a little bit. But also we want to talk a little bit, starting out right off the bat, since we have no movie news, we have no movies that we can go see, we decided to kind of go with a little bit of Flashback Friday and look back. And we're going to kind of rotate this around from year to year. But we're going to start off May 23rd, 1980. We might be off it by a day or two here and there, but really not much to see in the theaters. We almost picked the worst week to start in some ways.
Well, I'm excited because if it's May 23rd and I've got options, I'm going to see The Shining.
Okay. Here's your options. You have, if you lived in Washington, D.C. or London, you got to see the premiere of The Empire Strikes Back. If you didn't, you had a choice between The Shining and a movie called Carney.
Now, what is Carney?
Okay, Carney. Carney is a movie starring Gary Busey, Jodie Foster, and Robbie Robertson. And here is the IMDb on this. Tired of her dull job as a waitress, Donna decides to join two carnival hustlers and see what life in their field is like.
Well, that might change things just quite a bit, because carnival, that just sounds like fun. And there's carnies involved. Jodie Foster. Gary Busey, you say?
Yes. This is pre-crazy Gary Busey.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy Gary Busey.
I don't know.
Okay. Now, if this doesn't draw you
Now
in,
I'm leaning towards Carney.
here's the tagline. Where love is just another sucker's game. Does this close the deal?
That actually changes everything. I'm not seeing it anymore. Like, that's awful. What was that again? Read that one more time. I might have heard you wrong.
Here it is again. Where love is just another sucker's game.
See, I wish I had like the trailer narrator voice behind that, because I need to know what the context and what his emphasis is, because I just can't hear it.
It's just not there, is it? It's
What? Yeah. What was the tagline for The Shining?
I don't have the tagline for The Shining.
Oh, all right. Well, let's look it up. Hold on a second.
Now, back then, I definitely wouldn't have gone and seen Carney. I would have gone and seen Empire Strikes Back if I could get in, even not knowing. I mean, because you already had Star Wars, so it was probably. And looking at it, it was a Tuesday release, so it has to be still after Star Wars, it was such a massive deal. So that would win the week by far.
Well, if I had the option to see Star Wars, that's obviously what I'm going to go see.
Yeah,
But I'm watching The Shining, 5 weeks later after I've seen Star Wars like 4 more times.
Now, when you watch The Shining, now looking back at The Shining from a later date now, do you still like The Shining as much as when you saw it, younger, or has it grown on you more or less?
I think it's actually grown on me more. Now I look at it for different reasons. Like when I first saw it, it was scary. It scared me when I first saw it. Now I look at different things that, like the way it's shot, some of the rug patterns, like all these like things that are going on in the background that just kind of add to the experience.
It does. And I mean, when I first watched it, I didn't understand a lot. I didn't understand the tension of it as much, but now I see the tension so much more, and kind of, at first when I saw it, I thought of more of it as just a crazy guy, you know what I mean? But now being older, you go back and you can see the descent into madness kind of thing. And it makes the movie way better. The soundtrack adds to the dread side of it so much. And, Scatman Crothers, just the little bit that he's in, he steals the show.
Anytime you can get some Scatman Crothers,
he's one of those guys that makes everything better.
Yeah, he's the reason why Zapped is so good.
I remember him mostly from Twilight Zone, the movie, the Kick the Can.
Yeah, kick the can.
Kick the can. Kick the can.
Let's play a game of Kick the Can.
Oh, yeah.
Scatman Crothers is awesome.
Vicky in the comments says she loves Stephen King but has never watched The Shining.
Oh, well, you should definitely do that.
Now, would you recommend the original Shining or the miniseries with the guy from Wings? I can't think what his name is now.
Oh, the guy from Wings. I wish Santa Crump Ranger was here, because he actually was a fan of Wings.
Okay. Oh gosh.
I didn't like Wings. I turned the channel.
It seemed like they were the go-to actors because gosh dang, Steven, I can't think of what his last name is. He was in the Shining remake, and not Perfect Storm, Storm of the Century. The other guy from Wings was in Storm of the Century. So they just went through the whole Wings cast. Maybe they'll get Lowell eventually.
Well, all right. You got both wings.
Yes, you got both wings. Are we ready to jump on to our pitch of the week, your movie pitch?
All right. Yeah. All right. So eventually, it could be next year, it could be 3 years from now, but we're getting a COVID-19 movie. It's happening.
Okay.
Somebody's making that thing.
COVID-19. Okay. Title. What's the
Yep.
title? What's the title of your pandemic movie based on COVID-19?
Well, I'm changing it to Made in China because somebody's going to do that.
Okay.
Somebody's making that movie.
Okay.
But I'm picking. I didn't limit myself to only actors that are actually alive and available today. I'm plucking from the pool of great actors, because if I'm making a movie like this, I want Mr. Charlton Heston at the helm, leading me through the movie. He's got the resume.
Okay.
Planet of the Apes, Earthquake, Omega Man.
Charlton Heston stars in Made in China.
Yep.
Okay.
And I have a little background information. See, because the story follows a New York Times reporter who knows more details than the government is comfortable with. The lead will be played by the great Charlton Heston, and we will just maneuver through the movie with somewhere around that.
Okay. Are we talking slow thriller? Or are we talking more of an action based?
We're gonna approach this a little bit like North by Northwest a little bit.
Okay, a little suspense. Man-made virus or virus from the wild?
Whatever the popular opinion is at that time.
Well,
we'll just do that.
I would go with man-made because we're saying it's called Made in China. So I would go man-made. Now if I was for my casting, since we're going man-made, so this is going to be a little bit of a espionagist is that?
That sounds like something out of science fiction.
You live in a spaceship, dear.
So?
I would go with Brad Pitt as a scientist for the now fired World Health Organization, where he's lost his job out there, but he's uncovered this and he has to, number one, he's got the information for it first, and he has to get out of China with the information. They know he's got it, so it's one of those ones where he's desperately trying to get out of China. Okay, then once he gets out of China with it, no one believes him.
Oh, yeah, because you can't believe anybody.
Right.
That has to happen. We have to go through at least 45 minutes of total denial.
Mm-hmm. And after that, then he's the guy that's got to find the way to fight it, because then he has to get back into China because that's where the only cure is.
Yeah.
That's my action based.
I like it.
Now, if I was flipping it on the other side of being more of something like an Outbreak, where it's a little bit slower with a little bit more action, I'm going to go Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, you say?
Mm-hmm. Tom Hanks, and then I'm going to flip just a little bit. I was trying to decide between his co-star either being Jonah Hill. Wait for it. My next pick, or Seth Rogen. Because I think either one of those guys would play the nerdy kind of, they could be the little bit of the comedy side of it, just a little bit here, the gallows humor. They could develop it, and then you get the action kind of coming towards the end.
All right.
Well, I guess we're going to have to workshop that one just a little bit more. So I take it you didn't like my idea for COVID-19, the movie.
No, I liked your idea up until you got to the Seth Rogen part, and then I was just like, that movie's gonna that's going to have a tone.
Didn't you see him in the where he played Wozniak in the Jobs movie?
I actually didn't.
He did a very good job, and Jeremy always gets on me because I always talk about Jaws. I always talk about Jaws in every stream, every podcast we do. I always talk about Jaws. In the back of my mind,
it's fantastic.
It is, but blasphemy as it would be, I've always thought of if they ever redid Jaws or rebooted Jaws, I wanted Seth Rogen to play the Hooper role.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that might be. He might be able to do that. I don't know. That movie, I don't feel like you would ever get. There's just something about the acting in that movie. It's amazing. That's one of my favorite movies ever. I remember when I first discovered that as a kid, and then I went out and I saved up to get like a VHS of it, and I would watch it over and over again.
I still watch it over and over again. I love the movie so much. And now thinking about it, you know who the big cameo I would have in it? Richard Dreyfuss would play the mayor.
Oh yeah, you could do that.
We're not gonna have that little Kittner kid half-ass
spill out
autopsy.
all over the dock.
There you go. Drink.
I'm not just gonna stand there and watch you perform some kind of half-ass autopsy.
Oh gosh. I don't know why I laugh at that moment every time. I don't know if it's because of you and Chris, but it makes me laugh every single time.
Well, it's just the way that he like pronounces it, you know. There's a couple of movies that do that. Like I always love in like Back to the Future Part 2 when they go when they first go to the future and Doc's like talking to Marty about like what's going on, and he's like and he says something to him about the justice system moves a lot swifter now that we've abolished the lawyers. It's like, why does he say it like that?
Oh God. Well, have we cleared? It seems like no one in the comments wants to pitch COVID-19 the movie. Do you want to take a break and come back with disaster movies?
Well, sure, but I will tell you this though: if that movie does get made, and it will get made, the irony of putting that in a theater.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which kind of goes along with when we talk about disaster movies just a little bit. The irony of some of this stuff is just so funny. But we're going to take a break, guys. And we'll be back with the best disaster movies. We'll be back after the break.
Video stores may be all gone, but Video Rangers Podcast is still open for business. Video Rangers Podcast is a member of Infirmary Media, and you can join us each week as we discuss only the finest rentals. Movies like No Retreat, No Surrender, Teen Wolf 2, Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol, The Heavenly Kid, Meatballs Part 2, Cool as Ice, Miami Connection, and a whole bunch of films that'll keep you up all night. Hey kids, remember TV's very special episodes? Well, we got those in stock, so meet us at the bike shop. For more information, search Video Rangers Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Alrighty, guys, we are back and we're ready for our second segment, and it's the best disaster movies. But I forgot to say something in the opening. I first forgot to tell you guys, Honor Night will be in the third break with his Hit It and Quit It. We've got a good one. He's got one coming for Fantasy Island, and I think you guys are going to get a kick out of it. And also, check out all the podcasts that we list on the side. These guys are our friends. They do great podcasts. 2 Peas on a Podcast, Soiled Restroom Cinema, Honor Night's Show, and The Obsessive Viewer. Great podcasts. We want you to listen to us, but we want you to listen to our friends too. And you'll hear a lot of great movie talk. Now, we've got really good topic here. Best disaster movies. Last week, we kind of got going talking about the Towering Inferno because we're big fans of the Towering Inferno, and we started wanting to recast Towering Inferno because that's what we always want to do is recast every movie, even though it's perfect. Because like I did with Jaws. But we decided we'd talk our favorite or best disaster movies. Now, Mike, when we talked before the show started, you kind of had some not issues, but you were like, hey, this can fall in so many different ways.
Well, I just found that it was interesting when I was I started like first I walked into my movie room or whatever, and I'm looking at movies that I have that I consider disaster movies. But then I started Googling like, all right, well, what's like the list of the best disaster movies? And I found like a couple lists that was like 50 to 100 movies long, and a lot of it was stuff that falls in totally different categories.
Mm-hmm.
And one that kept popping up was Independence Day. And yeah, like a disaster happens, but that's like you were saying before we started, it's an invasion movie.
Mm-hmm. And the same with War of the Worlds. That's they're great movies, but I look at them more. I look at them more as invasion than I do disaster, and that's like a movie like Book of Eli. I love Book of Eli, but to me, Book of Eli is a post-apocalyptic movie.
Exactly, Mad Max, Roadrunner. I mean, Road Warrior, Roadrunner.
Now, Road Warrior. Well, you're exactly Road Warrior. Mad Max you might be able to niche Mad Max into a disaster movie because it's as society's starting to fall, but it's kind of tough.
I'm thinking of totally different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm thinking disaster movies, I'm thinking like Volcano.
Right. Kind of like you're in the middle of it. It's going down. It's happening. Jeremy's he's already jumping in. He's got
I know, he's already inside my head.
Yep.
Damn you, Jeremy.
And Joe's here. Good evening, Joe. Welcome back. Good old Joe from the comments. Joe's always...
Hello, Joe.
Yes, Joe's always in there. Joe, we are talking disaster movies, not the first segment that we had a disaster talking about COVID-19, the movie. Could we make it a musical?
Well, you could. I'd love to see the songs.
It would be a modern day Producers.
Yeah.
We're producing COVID instead of what Hitler in Springtime. It's COVID the movies.
They do a revival of like that main song from American Tail.
Jeremy's all right. Loved San Andreas when The Rock dropped the people's elbow on the earthquake and saved the day. For disaster movies.
Okay.
What do you have? What's your first pick for disaster movies?
Okay, so for my first pick, I'm going to go with one that I also do think falls in other categories, but I want it to be like kind of different with my list. So I'm going to start off with Maximum Overdrive.
I like that movie.
Yeah.
I love that movie. It's so stupid. It is so stupid, but it's so fun. Yeah. And, in some ways, it falls in line a little bit, very far away from Steven Spielberg's Duel, but still there's something scary about a semi. I mean, you can't see the driver. It's huge. It can do all kinds of damage. And the idea of the machines coming to life is kind of a neat thing. I mean, the fact that they had the bread knife sliding across the ground going after people. It was so silly. And then you've got like the vending machine attacking people. You've got the soundtracks being done by AC/DC. Stephen King's on like all kinds of cocaine. Yeah. That's a recipe for success. I love that soundtrack. When you say AC/DC doing the soundtrack, that soundtrack, I think that might be what saves the movie, is because the music is so good. It kind of gets you going for all the moments that happen in the movie. Yeah. That's a really fun one. That's my first pick. Maximum Overdrive. Emilio. Yes. Back when Emilio still had a career. Yeah. Is that pre-Mighty Ducks or post-Mighty Ducks? That's pre. Okay. So he was still on the ascension. Yeah, this is St. Elmo's Fire. Okay. Emilio. Yeah. Young Guns 2 Emilio. Kind of. What is that? That might be. What is it? Young Guns 2? Is that 91? I have never seen all of Young Guns. I'm not a big fan. No, you don't like Young Guns? Nah, I'm going down in a blaze of glory, Don't like them. Regulators, mount up. Jeremy has Batman versus Superman was the biggest disaster movie ever. Yeah, but there's still good parts in it. See, I just thought that Batman Superman was just kind of blah.
You know, I didn't think it was necessarily bad. I just was kind of bored.
I like the battle parts. I a lot. But the only thing I'll tell you that, and Wonder Woman was great. The debut of Wonder Woman.
I really liked Wonder Woman. I thought that was good.
And it probably had one of the most subtle fun lines in all the DC movies, because DC has no funny lines in their movies.
No, they don't write them.
When she shows up and they both look at each other and goes, "Is she with you?" And it's like, "No, I thought she was with you." Like that. That's probably my funniest line out of all of them.
Yeah.
The one thing I really did kind of irk me about that movie was after everybody complained about Man of Steel and, oh my God, they would have killed thousands of people in the battle, blah, 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 about when Superman was fighting through the city with Zod. Yeah. When they fight Abomination, they go, luckily the island, they're on like an island or whatever, they're off somewhere and that has been evacuated and no one was there. They made a point to have them fight in the one place where no one else is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I didn't care for that at all.
Yeah.
Okay. The first movie I'm going to go with. It's old. I've only seen it about 3 or 4 times, but it stuck with me for a long, long time, and I just like the premise of it.
Okay.
When Worlds Collide from 1951.
Oh, okay. So, I know of the movie. I have not actually seen this one, so why don't you tell me about it?
I'll give you the IMDb quick plot of it. It says
I like it.
South African pilot Dave Randall serves as a courier transporting a briefcase to American scientist Dr. Hendren. Inside the case are documents which state that Star Bellis will collide with the Earth, destroying it. As the end comes ever closer, and despite widespread disbelief, only a modern-day Noah's Ark can save it. They are literally building a rocket and putting people on this rocket to take off as the planets collide and then land on the other planet, saving humanity.
Well, let me tell you this. I love that it has a briefcase with important documents in it.
Mm-hmm.
I just like when any movie has a briefcase with something important in it. So that right there.
Especially when it has the handcuff, that little handcuff onto the Halliburton.
Well, if you're going to do a briefcase and you're not giving me a handcuff, then you're just teasing me.
Yeah. Now, this movie, there was, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, it might even been longer because my mind blanks. Steven Spielberg was linked to this to do a remake of it. And I so much want to see it because what's really cool is at first this millionaire is putting all this money into this rocket and they can only take so many people. And it's, it looks like the old Flash Gordon rocket kind of, and they get it on this long sled that goes up a hill kind of to ramp it up. But they can only take so many people and everybody's calling him crazy until near the end when they all finally realize this is really going to happen. And then it's the panic of who gets on, and keeping people back. And they're down to like the final pound on whether they're going to be able to take off. And then you've got all that panic and all the angst about who actually gets to go on. And that I like that kind of thing where sacrifices are made, and ultimately there's always the one guy shutting the door and sending them off.
Yeah, he's going down with the ship.
Yeah,
I always love that, man. To really truly enjoy a disaster movie, you have to be you just have to be one of those people that just gets so invested in what's going on. That's the only way you truly can enjoy a disaster movie, because a lot of them are pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can get wrapped up in it, it's a fun ride.
Right. And really the fun part is if you can only get one character, if there's only one character that you can like, if you get more than one, it's great. And I think that's why when we were talking about some of these older ones that had these big ensemble casts, there was always at least one person you would gravitate to, and you would that would make you be invested in the movie, and you would hope that they would make it out, even if they're not the lead guy. You're like, okay, if Roddy McDowall makes it out, I'm happy. That kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, so that's your pick. All right, I guess I'll go to mine. I'll go to my next one. Let's see. All right, so for my next movie, Jeremy already mentioned it in the comments. It's Twister. I like Twister. I think it's fun.
I love Twister.
Yeah, I think it's a good time, man.
I love Bill Paxton. I love Philip Seymour
Yeah.
Hoffman, Alan Ruck, Helen Hunt. I actually like Helen Hunt in it. I like everything about it. And boy, here it goes again. It is almost, it's Jaws on land. Because the tornado is the shark in essence. You don't always see it, and when you do, it's always ominous. It's got that same kind of feel to it because at first they see it, they're in awe of it, but yet they're chasing after it. Then they get too far into it, and then it becomes a danger to them.
Yeah, and they give you like just enough science to like where you can follow along, and like kind of feel smart. At the same time.
It's just enough to make sense. I mean,
yeah.
You see Bill Paxton, and Jeremy already said it, the extreme Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
When he's standing out there and you got that I think it's Van Halen that did the guitar, like a lot of this Eddie Van Halen, the soundtrack. Yeah. I know they did have the Human Being song, but when he's standing there and he's looking out and it's cloudy and he's grabs the dirt and feels the dust, and Philip, he's almost like a mentalist, he can read the wind and everything, and he knows what's coming.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
When they're like just so in tune with something, like where they can predict the fucking weather.
Yeah. And Philip Seymour Hoffman walks up to him and he's like, going green.
Yeah. Oh, dude, and it's Philip Seymour Hoffman when he was like in the beginning, when he was doing all this cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where he like made the best out of every role he got.
Yeah.
That's a small part, but he makes it kind of pop.
Yeah, and the special effects still hold up to today. I like them.
It's a fun movie, man.
It's got great humor too. I mean,
yeah,
we've got cows.
Yeah,
and there's
they're
another
flying
one
through the air.
Yeah, there's another one.
That's another one. Yeah.
No, I think it's the same one.
Look at that. It looks like they're making a milkshake.
The big suck. All the different lines, and Philip Seymour Hoffman, when they go by, when Carrie Elways goes by and he's like, losers, doing the whole thing.
Yeah, that's fun, man.
Just perfect. That's a great fun pick. I mean, I love that movie. One of the most rewatchable movies ever.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna follow yours up with Gravity from 2013 with Sandra Bullock.
Ooh, is that a disaster movie?
Yes.
Okay, tell me why, please.
Because of the massive amount of destruction that is constantly coming that she has to survive, and the people that have died, through it. That's why I go with it, and that's why. And the reason I pick it is because when I saw that in the theater, it was one of the first movies that the 3D really had an effect on me. And and at the time when we were doing our mini reviews for Movie Madness, I saw everything in 3D, no matter what, even if it was upscaled 3D, whatever, I saw it. And nothing really added a whole lot. Avatar seemed to add, the 3D added that a ton. But this was the next one, which I found myself as she's falling through there. It was one of the few movies where I'd find my hands like tensing up, almost like trying to grab as she was grabbing on things. Yeah. And so that's why I really like it, because it really had that tension and the urgency throughout the entire movie. And I thought after seeing it in 3D, well, when I go home, it's not going to be as good. I already know what happens at the end. I know how it all ends up. But I watched it again at home, and I had the exact same feeling. So it wasn't just the 3D that did it. Now, I will tell you, I haven't gone back and watched it over and over again. Like Twister, if Gravity's on, I go like, oh, Gravity's on. But if Twister's on, I'm like, oh, Twister's on. Okay, sit down.
Well, Twister's a fun time, and you don't have to watch the whole thing.
Exactly.
Gravity's kind of somewhat of a slow build, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like it because of the special effects, the tension that it brings, and it is kind of it's a disaster in space that happens.
Jeremy says that he's surprised that Doug didn't pick the Ghostbusters remake.
No. I about made a comment that it wouldn't have been right for it. It's not a disaster, it's something else.
Yeah. It's ungodly, is what it is.
Thank you for saving me.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's
Dogs and cats living together.
mass hysteria?
Mass hysteria.
And as Jeremy would say, if I said this,
If I wanted a joke, I'd follow you into the John and watch you take a leak.
Oh, God. I'd love to do a whole podcast talking about planes, trains, and automobiles.
well, I will trade out with you and let Jeremy do it with you because there's only a few parts of planes, trains, and automobiles.
Oh yeah,
that
I forgot. I forgot that you told me that you didn't like that. We should still do an episode on that because then we could have the two opposite opinions.
Okay. Yeah. We could do the point and counterpoint. We could be Stephen A. and I can't.
Yeah.
Max Kellerman. Yep.
Yeah, like how like I really like Mannequin and Chris Ranger hates it. Oh man.
What do you got next?
All right, so what do I got next? Let's look this up here. All right, my next pick is one that I saw it when it was new. I rented it from Blockbuster, but I didn't really appreciate it probably till like maybe 5 years ago. I really like Dante's Peak.
Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah. I don't know why I like that movie, but I like it.
It's, it came right after Mount St. Helens and stuff. It was, within a couple years, I don't know, 5 years of that. So it kind of had that relevancy to it. And Pierce Brosnan was good in it.
Yeah, but it was that whole era of when you were getting like these movies that were really similar in the same year. Your Volcano, your Dante's Peak, your Armageddon, your Deep Impact.
Yes.
Everything was a real similar.
It's funny because the only scene I can remember from like Volcano is the dude jumping off of the subway into the lava and throwing the other guy in as he does the Terminator 2, legs burning to the ground as he, as the lava absorbs him in.
Yeah, you get like little things like that. Like those moments of like heroics.
Yeah.
That are just absolutely ridiculous. Like, nobody's doing that.
And see, I don't remember much about Dante's Peak. The one thing that sticks in my mind from that is when they're driving down the mountain and the explosion is chasing after them and you see the big dust cloud coming from behind on them.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's like it's if you can exaggerate Indiana Jones running away from the big stone ball.
Yeah.
And somehow make it ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
He made it cool.
Oh. In the comments, anybody in the comments, what is your favorite disaster movie? What would you guys pick? Because
Michael Williams here says that he still cries watching Armageddon. But is that a disaster movie?
It is and it isn't because it's kind of that. Well, it's no more so than probably My Worlds Collide because when technically the disaster isn't there, but it's incoming, and they're trying to stop it.
Incoming disaster. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, see, I feel like Deep Impact is more of a disaster movie because the meteor or the comet or whatever actually hits Earth.
Yes.
Whereas in Armageddon, they just sacrifice themselves, right? Like I don't remember. Does the meteor hit the Earth? No, right?
A smaller meteor hits before, but they split the one that's going to make the difference, and so they save the world. Yeah,
but Bruce Willis stays behind, right?
Yes, he does.
Oh, sorry guys, I spoiled it. 20-year-old movie.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's like 25 years. When did that come out?
We'll have to look it up. I'm a huge Armageddon apologist. I love
I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think it's got some funny parts.
It's one of the Michael Bay movies that really, I love the cast of it for one.
It's a good cast. There's funny parts to that movie. It's not a bad movie.
And I'm a sucker for patriotic. And when they do the launch, when they've got the president speeching for all mankind, and they're go for launch and they got both shuttles going up, I'm woohooing it as they're going.
Dude, it's a fun movie. I the beginning, like Michael Bay movies in the 90s were actually like really fun.
Yes.
You know, he knew how to like kind of like, you know, take like a popcorn movie and like kind of give you the feels. Like he was known for like the big, like the music would kick in while somebody was giving some like big speech.
Yeah.
You know, like in The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when he's giving that whole speech.
And he's the one that really took it to the next level, because it's like, you know, like in Top Gun, they have the meeting, and, you know, no one ever has like a classroom meeting in a hangar with F-16s behind them. Okay.
Yeah.
But in Armageddon, they're not just out in a hangar. They've got choppers flying by. They've got he plays stuff up so much. You know, he's like, you always know, like Michael Bay's always like, can we make the flag bigger? Like that.
Yeah,
but I like it.
I like it. It's just that recently he's just doing awful work.
Yeah.
You know, it's just none of it. It's just not working anymore. I don't know.
Yeah. I've always said it's always that, dang you, Michael Bay, because I'm always like, I'm out. I'm not going to another one. Not going to go see another one. And then he cuts together a amazing trailer.
Yep.
And I'm like, "Ooh, did you see this movie?" And they're like, "Yeah, but it's Michael Bay." I go, "Yeah, but the trailer looks amazing." And next thing you know, I'm wasted $15.
Yep. I've done it myself, sir.
Just look. Comments. Wait, I gotta say this. Jeremy is gonna find a new buddy because Rob just came in and Rob threw Titanic on the list.
Well, I'm glad that somebody mentioned that. Maybe I don't know, but I had have some stuff to say about that.
Am I up or are you up?
I think that, am I up? No, I just said Dante's Peak. What did you say?
Okay, I have it gone. We've talked about it before. I'm gonna go Poseidon Adventure. I still love that movie.
Funny story.
Okay.
I've been eyeing Poseidon Adventure on Blu-ray for like 3 years. Just been watching it on Amazon. It's a movie that I have actually not seen, and I really want to get around to seeing. And while we were preparing for this show, that movie kept popping up on various lists. And I'm like, I really got to get me a copy of this movie. So I sit down in this chair and get ready to talk to you, and I turn to my right, and I've got a VHS copy right there. I didn't even know I had it.
So I know what you're going to be watching after the show ends.
I think so. But I also have to. I was watching Earthquake before the show, and I didn't get to finish it. So I got to get to that.
I'll tell you, Gene Hackman is like full on Gene Hackman in this, and him and Ernest Borgnine as this. I mean, this movie really was I want to say ahead of its time, because it won. I'm looking at my notes. It said it won the Academy Award for visual effects. It got nominated for cinematography, best sound, best editing. These are all nominations. Best score. Shelley Winters got a best supporting actress nod out of it. I mean, this movie was really well done. And when the ship gets hit by the wave and rolls over, it's absolute pandemonium. And it's practical effects. I can still remember, and it tips over the Christmas tree. The one guy's hanging from the Christmas tree and falls down through what is the ceiling, but it's like a glass roof kind of thing. He falls through that and shatters it. And there's people just hanging, almost like Titanic, where people are hanging from the boat. They're hanging from like tables that were nailed down, and they're falling. But the intensity of when they're trying to get through the ship, and Ernest Borgnine wants to go one way and Hackman wants to go the other way. And Hackman's a preacher, and he can rally people because he's good. And Borgnine just does not like him because Borgnine's a cop and he thinks he knows everything. And those guys both ramp it up. And so there's some very huge, very intense moments in the movie that is just so well done, especially for the time frame. And I've always been an Ernest Borgnine fan too. So it's just really cool to see him and Hackman square off.
Well, I think I will be watching that this evening.
Rob has a question. Does Pearl Harbor fall into disaster movie?
No, that's a war movie.
War movie. I think it'd go war movie. It's a disaster, a wartime disaster, but it's not a.
Yeah.
It's got Affleck in it, so that's a +5.
Well, yep.
Got a
There you
+5.
go.
What's
He
your
was the bomb in Phantoms.
What's your next pick?
All right. So for my next pick, I have a movie from 1974, The Towering Inferno.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this movie, man.
I do too.
I really, really like this movie. Just the whole idea of, mankind getting a little ahead of itself, thinking it can do it, just always building bigger and better. And this idea of building this like perfect building, that just doesn't really work out. It's kind of like the structural equivalent of like the Titanic, I guess, where like they feel like it's this real like superior luxury item that, where it's got all these special safety systems built into it, but in the end, you've got somebody willing to cut corners to come under budget and install faulty wiring. And then you have the Towering Inferno, and you've got everybody in this movie. You got like every major star at the time. You've got an older Fred Astaire in that movie, Paul Newman, Steve McQueen. It's just and everything's done with practical effects. Like all the building stuff, burning and everything was all done with like miniatures,
right?
And they just really, really fun movie. I like that one.
Now Jeremy asks a question: Hard Rain. Does Hard Rain fall? I think Hard Rain's a heist movie.
That's a great Bob Dylan song.
And a OK Morgan Freeman and Christian Slater movie.
Yeah, I own that one. I've seen it. It's a movie. They made it.
Oh boy, that falls in line with Jeremy's Hobbs and Shaw review right there.
Okay.
That's Jeremy's code for not a good movie is he goes, I saw Hobbs and Shaw. Yep, I saw it.
I saw it.
Yeah. So that's where it falls in. Does Morgan Freeman have the best speech in disaster movies though? When the life will go on, we will prevail.
Oh, it's great.
Or we will survive, isn't it?
And then and then I love how like the end of the movie, he's giving the speech about how they're, now that it's all over, we're getting ready to rebuild, and he's like, the waters receded, I love when he says that.
Morgan Freeman, I mean, they should just hire him to give speeches.
Oh yeah.
You always feel
I wish I could hire him to come to my house and just talk me to sleep.
Okay. I'm going to jump on my other ones. I'm going to go with the airport movies, and I'm just going to lump them all together again. Okay. Because the thing that makes me laugh about the airport movies, I love the airport movies because I can remember they run together. The one where they hit another plane and the pilot gets sucked out of the cockpit, and now they don't have, now there's no one to fly the plane, and they have to lower a guy from another plane and bring him into put him into the cockpit. The airport movies were just so, I don't want to say fun, but they, you're stuck on a plane. I mean, they had Dean Martin, you had Charlton Heston, George Kennedy, and they parodied him off then in the airplane movies, and the thing that gets me is how in the world the airline industry ever let these movies get made, because it's like, you know what, you're spending this much movie.
Yeah.
Here, take it and don't make it. Yeah.
I mean, what was the compromise? Like, you need to give us a copy of the movie so we can show it on the flight.
Exactly. But the airplane, I like the airport movies. And they had Airport 75, Airport 77, Airport 79, the Concorde, just anything and everything.
And you can actually get them in a very nice box set on Amazon.com.
Oh.
Not a sponsor. However, Rolling Rock is also not a sponsor, but tastes delicious.
In the comments, we have Rob's got I Am Legend.
But see, it's not really a disaster movie because it's the aftermath for the most part.
It's more post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, a zombie apocalypse, I guess.
Now, would you Would Omega Man fit in there because that's more during when it's all going down?
So Omega Man, I Am Legend are basically the same movie because they're both based off the same story.
Right.
So, or Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price. So I don't feel like Omega Man is so much a disaster movie. I feel like it's again like a post-apocalyptic movie, I guess. Right. But it's just got Charlton Heston is perfect for those movies. His overacting is exactly what those movies call for.
Yeah. But I really
he's fantastic.
Enjoyed I Am Legend though. Other than I didn't like the creatures. I just think they messed up on the creatures.
I did too. Like they had a real big opportunity there and it fell short right around there. And I didn't really love the ending. I don't I feel like too many movies now go for I'm going to sacrifice myself and kill a bunch of people just to that storyline has gotten a little tired.
Have you seen the alternate ending?
I think I have the DVD, but I don't remember.
It's actually from similar to how the book ends. And I'd like to tell you I've read the book, but as Jeremy knows,
reading gets you nowhere.
Okay. Now I've actually read the book though.
Okay. Where they actually kill him at the end, but he realizes he's the monster because he's kind of the one that's been killing all of them, and
yes,
and it's very
they're really just an evolution in the human development, and he's the last man on Earth.
Yeah, and he's the monster to them.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
In which that's how the I Am Legend alternate ending is. If you guys haven't seen it. You can find it on YouTube. The vampire creature, whatever's come in, he realizes that they're not just some crazy, unintelligent things, just, monsters. They're actually coming for the one female that was going to test on. He realizes that and basically lets her go. And they kind of both give him the eye, like, I know who you are. You know who I am. Now that he realizes there's intelligence there, he leaves, and then they end up at a settlement at the end with kind of a cure for it, but it's kind of left as that thing where now he realizes that they're like you said, like an evolution. But yeah, I thought the movie did such a good job of just showing the isolation of being alone, and I thought that, and like when they would go into the dark areas where he had to go in, I thought those were really scary because you never saw what was on the other side.
Yeah, and I always really like when movies where somebody's got a house where they've like kind of fortified it, and they've got all these trap doors and hidden weapons everywhere, and they've got like the the bars coming down on the windows. Like I like I always like it when somebody can like batten down the hatches and like fight somebody off.
Yes. I'm looking at my list now. I'm looking to see what else I have. Oh, I'm looking, Jeremy, I don't even think I know you anymore. He says, what about Howie Long's Wildfire movie?
What is that? Walk Like a Man?
Oh, gosh. I can't even think of what it is. I can't believe they actually got a helmet on Howie Long's head with that flat top.
Didn't Kirk Cameron make like a disaster movie?
He did.
What are those called?
He did the Left Behind movies.
Okay, so and those are a disaster, right?
They're the Rapture. Basically happens,
okay.
And it's end of day. It's the end of day. It's the end of day.
All right, so it's a little different. All right,
right. But you know what? Yeah. I've read the books, and there's a movie in there, just not one with Kirk Cameron in it.
Kirk Cameron. Oh, the story that almost was.
Yeah. If they did a Netflix series on it, it would need to be done in a Netflix miniseries because it's like 13 books long. But it is really good. I mean, even if you're not a religious person and you were just to take out most of the religious stuff out of it, which you really can't because that's what it's about. But the books are really well done and have some amazing action sequences and some really eerie things that happen. That's just it's definitely worth a check out. I mean, it is. I think we're to you. I think we're to you.
Yeah, okay, so my next pick is The Day After Tomorrow.
Ah,
I don't think it's a great movie.
no, but it's fun.
It's got everything like I kind of want in it. You know, like everybody everybody really enjoys like when we get like one of those snowstorms that like shuts everything down. You know?
Yes.
And this is just like, they gave you everything in that trailer that made me want to see that movie. It's like kind of like when I saw the trailer for Snakes on a Plane.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I got to see that movie because it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, and it's just so cool. Like you've got like the big like ships like floating through New York City or like like the Statue of Liberty's like basically beneath the snow.
Yes.
It's so cool.
I can remember the tagline at the very end of it where you hear the guy go, "Save as many as you can," like that. And you're like, oh, this is going to be, and it's that trailer and the trailer Joe had mentioned it, 2012.
Yeah.
When the monk is up in the temple and he's banging on the big gong like that. And the wave comes over the mountain.
Yeah, dude. Like in 2012 is a bad movie.
Yes.
It's not good, but
No.
I love the idea of it so much that I can sit back and watch it. Like, and that's how I feel about Waterworld, because like Waterworld, it's not a very good movie, but I like the whole concept.
Mm-hmm.
If they just executed it like shit, but like I wanted to like it so bad that I guess I do like it.
Yeah.
But they just never got around to doing like they never with Waterworld. The moments where they're underwater are the best parts of that movie. Like, and they don't give you anything. Like you should have been underwater and you saw like recognizable things.
Right.
Like let's say you're underwater and you're in the middle of Times Square.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the Coca-Cola neon just down there or something like that. Like, that's why Escape from LA has a little bit of like, even if you don't really like that movie, it's cool to see him go into Disney.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'll tell you both the trailers for 2012 and The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, you want to see the movie because it's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. A good Roland Emmerich, we're going to kill everybody. We're going to blow he just loved, was it 2012 also that had the wave coming over Washington and the aircraft carrier like crashing into the Capitol building?
I think so. I don't really.
Because that was Danny Glover was the president in 2012.
Yeah.
No Morgan Freeman, though.
No Morgan Freeman. However, I like Danny Glover, and we'll probably talk about him later.
Yeah, we will definitely talk about him later.
Love you, Danny.
What do we? I've got one more, but it does. It really doesn't fit the disaster movie, but I still wanted to bring it up. That's 1971's The Andromeda Strain.
Okay, I have that movie. Actually, it's right behind me.
Yeah,
right there. There it is.
It kind of is more on the science side of a disaster, trying to avert a disaster. And I was always drawn to the underground facility where the scientists, they go into the town, they find that everybody in the town's dead. They bring back, there's 2 survivors, a baby and a wino, and they bring them back and they're studying because this satellite had crashed back on Earth and it had brought some kind of spore. They didn't know what it was. I really enjoyed that idea of the technology of, once again, everything is safe. There's no way it's going to get out. And it does. But to their credit, it's not like, Prometheus or whatever, where stuff happens because the smartest people in the world go, I want to touch it. No.
Yeah,
Kills me. Every one of these movies ends up with best of the best.
Every one of these movies has like somebody at the helm that's in complete denial the whole fucking movie. Every one of these movies has like the mayor of Amity who doesn't want to close the beaches, or the guy that removes the gravestones but leaves the bodies. It's just every fucking time. It's just unbelievable.
You only move the headstones. You only move the headstones. Why? Why? I love it when Craig T. Nelson is screaming, why?
Yeah. I watched that and I'm like, that's how he got the role for Coach. He's intense.
Well, all the right moves. I mean, he kind of could all the right moves and Coach exist in the same world? Could that be the same Coach that moved up?
Dude, is Greg T. Nelson? He's in Youngblood, right? He's the coach in Youngblood.
No,
that's the other dude.
That's
from Gleam
the dude,
of the Cube, right?
Well, I remember him because he was the guard in The Longest Yard.
Okay. Yep. I was way off.
They do look a lot. They do look a lot alike. They do.
No, way off. Apologize.
Brian has Omega Man right there. There's a call for your Charlton Heston.
All right.
Awesome pick.
You know, everybody thinks different things, I guess, when it comes to disaster movies. I don't know why I think of like more like natural disasters. Because even Towering Inferno, I guess wouldn't really be like, I should be like leaning more towards Earthquake.
Yeah.
You know,
but the man-made, I like the man-made disasters because so many people, you know, like you said, it's the ones that are blind to what happens. You know, they there's no way it could go wrong. You know.
Yeah, and I love how like the Towering Inferno, like because it's supposed to be like this is like really advanced like structure. It's like the tallest building in the world and everything, and it's supposed to be so like state of the art. And then it reminds me a little bit of like Gremlins 2.
Poltergeist 3.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit like that. Poltergeist 3 is dreadful.
Oh, it's horrible.
Oh, it's so bad. And it's even worse when you know like the story behind making that one.
Yeah.
It's like, because then you're looking at it totally differently.
Yeah, that I shouldn't have brought that one up because that's a sad one.
And the show has reached a new low.
Yes.
Well, do you think we have covered our disaster movies?
I think so.
All righty. We are going to take a break, guys, and we will come back with our verses between Lethal Weapon and Die Hard. So we'll be right back after the break, guys.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All righty, guys, we are back and we are ready for our versus segment. Now, I think we're getting in. We've been tackling some tough ones the last 3 weeks because we did. And I want to go back. I want to go back to Schwarzenegger and Stallone as we get a little bit better at doing this. But we did Schwarzenegger versus Stallone. We did Seagal versus Van Damme. Last week we did our first movies ever when we did Real Genius versus Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And now we're moving into an action staple from the 80s, Lethal Weapon versus Die Hard. Now, before we get rolling on this, guys, what do you think in the comments? Lethal Weapon or Die Hard? Which do you guys think is the better movies? Now, I love both movies. I really do.
Naturally.
When I first saw, I got to remember which one I actually saw first. I think I saw Die Hard first before I saw Lethal Weapon. Which one did you see first?
I saw Lethal Weapon first.
Now, in any ways, do you think that influences how you're going to pick at the? I mean, is whichever one come first seem to hold a little bit more for you, or does it not play a factor?
Well, you know what, it does a little bit, but in this particular case, I have to look at both sides and be a fair judge. And I think the answer is simple when you really think about it.
Okay.
But at the same time, you are comparing two movies that aren't exactly similar. Lethal Weapon is more of a buddy cop movie,
True.
and you know, John McClane's on his own for the most part.
Is true.
With the exception of Carl Winslow, who was just going out to get some Twinkies for his pregnant wife.
Yeah. I mean, Al doesn't play a big part, but he does in some ways play a big part. I'm trying to look at, as far as the characters go, which one do you think has better characters?
Die Hard.
I think they're more developed.
I think Die Hard has better characters. The combination of it, everybody, you know who everybody is, and you know who everybody is early in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that Hans Gruber is a very serious guy.
Yes.
Very quickly, he does not hesitate to kill Mr. Takagi. And that was a really nice suit. He had two himself. He didn't want to ruin it.
And I thought, looking at the characters, Bruce Willis's character, John McClane, he starts off, he seems relatable. He seems more real.
Yeah, well, he's a hard-nosed cop, but he's also afraid to fly.
Yeah. He feels like more like an everyman.
Dude, he's washing his armpits in the bathroom.
And he's like you and I. Somebody tells you some cockamamie thing to make you feel better. We all end up trying it. Take off your shoes, make little squishies in the carpet.
Yeah, just little things like that, man. Or just, him walking off the plane, just being like, California. It's weird, man. He was perfect for that part. I think the characters are more developed. I feel like the terrorists all have, like, they all play their part and they're all very different. I think just having Carl Winslow out there. I call him Carl Winslow. And then having like the two FBI guys and to have I always forget the guy's name, the principal from Breakfast Club.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to be breaking skulls. Gosh dang it. Now because he was assistant police chief. What was the assistant?
Yeah, he was like the assistant.
Quentin
police
Morgan.
chief.
Was it Quentin Morgan? We'll look it up. I missed some of our comments in the and actually the text. We got one for Miracle Mile for disaster movies.
Oh, I'm so glad somebody said that. Miracle Mile is great. I actually wrote a review on it on Dueling Decades website. Miracle Mile is in a really good. Have you seen that one?
That's I haven't seen it, but that's the Anthony Edwards one where he gets the phone call that a nuclear attack is coming, and he's
I don't know if that qualifies. I feel like that's like its own subcategory, but really good movie. That's awesome that somebody said that. That is a really cool movie.
Okay, I'm looking up Die Hard right now, but as we were talking about Die Hard, I thought the characters, like I said, John McClane feels more realistic than Riggs and Murtaugh. They're a little bit more. They feel a little bit more on the 80s side, but then when you flip it around and you look at the blonde hair, basically the henchman, the right hand man henchman, Carl.
In which movie?
In Die Hard.
Okay.
Carl and Gary Busey's character are kind of the similar characters in some ways. They're the muscle guy. And in some ways, I like Busey's like really like clean cut, subdued hitman. You know what I mean? He's kind of like the Will G. Gordon Liddy, put your hand over the flame and just.
Oh yeah. He's a maniac. I think, but when I say that I think Die Hard has better characters, that's not to take away anything from Lethal Weapon, because Lethal Weapon has really good characters as well. Gary Busey is great in that movie, Mr. Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
But
Die Hard just has really, there's not any bad characters in Die Hard.
No, everybody serves their purpose, from oh God, what's the guy that's doing blow in the beginning of the movie?
Is it Ellis? Yeah, it's
Ellis. You know who that guy is.
Hans.
You know,
Booby.
Hans, Booby. I'm your white knight.
And all the while you got McClane's like, Ellis, you don't know him. You don't know him.
Yeah.
He's like, and oh, it's so, this guy that thinks he can close any deal. And
He can close any deal, and he just walks in there like Mr. Smooth Talker, and Hans Gruber is just like sitting back like, it's so good, man. And even like, McClane's wife and like, even down to her assistant, her secretary, the pregnant secretary that's like about to pop, but she can have a drink.
Yeah.
It's just, everything is just so well done in that movie. Even the security guard when McClane walks in and the guy's just like, just hanging out.
Well, and you talk about the terrorist, the Huey Lewis lookalike terrorist guy that takes over the front desk, and he's talking about the Laker game when
he had $50 on that game.
Yeah, they're all really good. And I got looking, it's Paul Gleason, and he was Dwayne T. Robinson.
There it is.
Yeah,
Dwayne T.
Quentin
Robinson.
Morgan. You know who Quentin Morgan is? It's from It's from Rambo.
Okay.
It's the one guy that's yelling at him when he's in the mine. It's from the National Guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I'm running them kind of together. I think we all kind of agree. Even though the characters are really good in both movies, I think Die Hard wins on the characters.
I feel like because the combination of John McClane and Hans Gruber, who was on our best villains list, plus all the sub characters, it's just great.
Yeah, I think so too. Now the plots, I think both the plots sit kind of close together because in one, in Lethal Weapon, you've got the cop, they're both the firsts that I can remember, because you got the one cop that's kind of getting too old for this shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Getting put with the crazy guy that you don't know if he's like really crazy or if he's
Vietnam
just a hot shot.
vet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that whole scenario is great, but also I think the Die Hard of the lone guy there, and the thing is, we were so used to Rambos and guys, and Schwarzeneggers that were just blowing everything up and holding a machine gun on their hips, Chuck Norris. And here you got just a normal, Cobretti. You had a normal guy without a gun to start with, stuck in this situation, overwhelming odds. He doesn't just shoot his way out. He outsmarts them out. So both of them, I think, are really neck and neck for being really well done as far as like the plot line.
Yeah. You have totally two different characters. Like John McClane seems like an everyman. He does. He doesn't look like he's in like amazing shape or anything. He's not hitting you with some special forces style of combat. He's not exactly a explosives expert or a marksman, really.
Mm-hmm.
He is just a guy. Whereas, Mel Gibson comes with a whole separate backstory.
Yes.
He's got a special forces tattoo.
But the neat thing about I do like about Riggs's character is that he's kind of like a myth. You know what I mean? You really don't know what he's capable of or how, how good, you kind of hear this stuff about it. But not until later in the movie when stuff when it really hits the fan and he tells you, if we're going to do this, we're going to get her back, but we're going to get her back my way. It's the only way it'll work. And then it all of a sudden turns into, oh my God, this guy's way more than what we ever thought he was. That whole sequence right there, when he's sniping those guys, and that's probably my favorite part of the movie. And when they're torturing him and he's telling that guy, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you.
That movie just works on so many levels. Like it's just the way that movie opens is really, really good. The development of their relationship throughout the movie, the pacing of it is perfect. Like, their back and forth is a lot of fun. The movie's creative. the character, and then just some people having really defined characters.
Mm-hmm.
His family was relatable.
Yeah.
I love Lethal Weapon. I do, and it's hard to choose between these two because I could not imagine a world where they both didn't exist. But like both movies definitely influenced the genre. Probably Lethal Weapon more than anything else because so many buddy cop movies followed.
Right.
But
I almost kind of lean on Lethal Weapon is a great action movie, but I think Die Hard is a great movie that happens to be action.
Yes,
I think there's more to, I'm trying kind of giving away a little bit probably where I'm going with this. Jeremy does say, but Weapon has the best saxophone music.
Yes, it does. Yeah,
and it has.
I didn't do a good job on that. I'm sorry.
Influenced so many other movies. I mean, Last Action Hero, they do the music from Lethal Weapon all the time in Last Action Hero just because it is so iconic as far as that. I know, like, as far as like really good scenes, like great scenes, there's, like you said, when Hans Gruber and Ellis are talking, that's a great scene. When he's with Takagi talking to him, that's a good scene. There's really good scenes in both. The Mel Gibson scene with Danny Glover, where after he jumps off the roof, which when you look back on history, like some of the movies from the moments in it, Lethal Weapon has more moments that haven't aged as well as what Die Hard has. But I love that scene where Danny Glover pulls him into things and you want to kill yourself? You want to kill yourself? And tells him, put the barrel in your mouth, and when he sticks the barrel in there and Mel Gibson's doing the look and everything. And there's only one other guy that can do that look. And it's Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton does the crazy look the same way that
you want to get nuts?
Yeah.
Let's get nuts.
See, you knew exactly what scene I was talking about. But when he pulls the trigger and Murtaugh has to stick his finger inside the hammer to keep it from going off.
It's great, and it's great. It's a kick-ass movie. That movie is awesome. Here's a funny question, just to throw it out there. You know what? Actually, I'll save it for the end.
Okay.
When we actually make our decision on which one we like better.
Okay. Better action between the two. Which do you think has better action?
I'm gonna lean a little bit on Die Hard because I feel like the action's a little bit more creative. Like he's got to be in the air duct. He's got you got to shoot the glass.
Yes.
Things like that. But as far as combat goes, watching Riggs kick the shit out of people is just amazing.
I kind of lean with Die Hard because there's so many more like really smart moments in it. When he sets the fire alarm off,
okay,
and he's talking to the police or the fire department, and they're telling him he's on a secure line, he can't talk, and he's like, "Come the fuck down here and get me," you know what I mean? Come to the building and get me. Yeah. And when Al shows up, comes in the building, starts to leave, when he shoves the body out and it lands on the top of Al's car, and then the terrorists open up with the machine guns on him. That moment is great, and we haven't even got to the rooftop scene. There's just a lot of really good and fun action moments, and in both movies there are. But I always felt like Lethal Weapon's action moments were like placed out more. So like it was like, here's this action moment, here's this action moment, where it felt like Die Hard's action moments were just kind of unfurling as the story went along.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. That's good. Yeah.
Quotability. I don't think he can top Yippee-Ki-Yay.
It's Die Hard. Yeah. It's Die Hard.
Yeah. I don't think he
now
can.
I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Just a fly in the ointment. A monkey in the wrench.
Yeah. There's just so many. Yeah. No, it's Die Hard.
Yeah. I think Die Hard gets it. Overall acting. I think Lethal Weapon has moments like we talked about that.
I'll give it to Lethal Weapon because I believe that Riggs was crazy. He was nuts. He had the hair for it. He had the hair for a crazy person. He could pull his hair out. John McClane can't do that.
You're right. You're right. He can't. But I think Die Hard has the better acting all the way through. I mean, even the subtle moments when he's looking at the list of everybody on the computer screen when he's trying to find his wife, he's looking for Holly McClane, and he sees her freaking. She's got her maiden name,
and he's so
and
pissed.
he's like,
he searched for Gennaro.
yes,
he's like, oh, you don't miss my name though, except for when you're maybe signing checks.
Yeah,
and she's like, this is a Japanese company.
And I mean, none of that stuff felt wrong. I mean, it felt like
it all made sense, even in my 12-year-old mind. Yeah, but I think Die Hard definitely has some of the. I think just the performance you get out of with a character like Hans Gruber kind of gives it the edge.
Yeah,
because your villain is on par with your main character, with your hero, I guess.
And you get so many like I said, subtle moments, with Al, Sergeant Powell. When you got remember when they're shooting at the lights, and they shoot the lights out, and then you got the idiot commander. They're shooting at the lights. There's so many like little bits in it that are funny. But it's not like they're like where Lethal Weapon at times had moments where they put in where I thought was like they're going like, here's a funny moment. Where Die Hard had moments that just seemed to unfurl, like what Argyle's in the
moments are a little bit more organic.
Yes, and subtle.
Very fast, Argyle. Very fast.
And even that character, Argyle's character, he was so subtle. He's like, hey man, you go on upstairs. I'll stay down here. If you need me, you just give me a call. And it felt like a real character. And even though he didn't have much, the little bits that he bopped in and out were always good. Where he hears on the radio, he's in the middle of this thing. And we didn't even mention one of our favorite bad guys, William Atherton, as the reporter and the side story with him.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, and it's amazing. That man has no dick.
And he was Jerry Hathaway. We're 2 weeks in a row. He's been in movies that we've talked about, and he is
Jerry Hathaway.
Take your shoes off. Take your shoes off.
My God.
I hate popcorn.
Hate it. Leave it outside.
He's one of the most unsung actors. That
no, he doesn't get his due because he's also really good in Biodome.
Oh, I couldn't get through Biodome.
Oh, we'll talk about that later.
Jeremy says Alan Rickman was the best actor in either movie.
I think he's right. Mm-hmm. I think Alan Rickman is why the you got to give Die Hard the edge on the acting.
Yeah. Great. He's a great bad guy.
He's great. He's an all-time villain.
I almost wish he wouldn't have died.
Yeah,
I
know. I missed him.
He would have been one to come back.
Die Hard 3 kicked ass.
You could have done a Bond movie that's a prequel that happened before Die Hard and had Hans Gruber be a bad guy.
I'm actually surprised nobody ever saw that Die Hard and was just like, all right, he's a Bond bad guy and we need to make that happen immediately.
Mm-hmm. He would have been great.
Yeah.
Final category. Which movie do you think has aged better?
I think Die Hard has aged a little bit better.
I think so too.
I think that because he's the underdog in that movie, people will, people get behind an underdog. I don't know how, it's just weird. Like the perception on cops these days is so different.
Yeah.
Like what is it? I don't know. I don't know what a modern audience or a younger audience is thinking.
It's true.
Getting old, Doug.
Yeah. And when you think about it too, I mean, that was right at the edge of where we started actually learning about what, like, I mean, like we used to love like the Dirty Harry movies, you know, where the rogue cops can do whatever they want. Now, and that's before we realized that there's actually laws and things that keep.
Yeah, like like movies like 48 Hours, like you said, like a Dirty Harry. We like those cop movies where the guy will break all the rules. You know, your John Spartans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your Demolition Man, your stuff like that. We get behind those characters because they're rebels. They march to the beat of their own drum. Douglas.
He's a Neanderthal from a bygone era.
Yeah. Oh, it's like. Oh, there's so many quotable lines within Demolition Man.
Yes.
Oh, another murder, death, kill. Murder, death, kill.
All restaurants are Taco Bell. Live long and no, not live long. Be well. Be well, Leilani Huxley.
Be well.
I almost said live long and prosper. I was like, shit, that's Star Trek.
Be well.
That's
man.
we could, you know, and I did see some movie news that there's grumblings or stuff kicking around that we might get another Demolition Man.
Why? Why would you do that now? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm on board. I'm going to see it. But why? We should have got that a long time ago.
We should have. You're right.
You know, honestly, what happened was Hollywood just decided to kick Stallone to the curb for about a decade,
right?
And forgot completely how much money he made them.
Yeah, yeah, and how good that movie was. How fun that movie was.
Yeah. You know, speaking about disaster movies, does Stallone's Daylight qualify?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, and that's one of the first Stallone movies where I actually saw Stallone as more of an everyman.
Yeah,
most of the time he's an action guy, and that I saw him as the everyman.
Yep. But again, it was like that trend of those type of movies.
Right. Yeah. Brian says only 2 seashells. Only 2 seashells in the sequel.
See, one of the things that I think why they shouldn't do a sequel is because they're going to have to explain the seashells in the sequel. And if you explain things, you kind of take away the mystery.
Yeah.
You know, like the best part of the series Lost was finding, like, you know, like the idea of what was in the hatch.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I never got the end of Lost.
No, you should watch it, but it's, I definitely thought like the first season was just like amazing. Just leading up to like, what's in that hatch? Sometimes you open the hatch, you don't like what's inside.
Okay.
Honor Knight says I shouldn't talk shit about Daylight. I will never talk shit about Daylight.
We like Daylight. Daylight, Honor.
Listen, I'm a guy that likes Oscar.
Oh, I love Oscar too.
I have no credibility here.
I love Oscar. Okay. I'll say I think Die Hard has aged better. We'll get back on and finish off. And I'm going to make my pick.
What about soundtrack, though? Which one's got the better soundtrack?
Well, like the only one I can remember is Christmas in Hollis. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, you got Run DMC,
right?
Which I think might give Die Hard the edge, but with Lethal Weapon, you get that sweet saxophone.
Yes.
I mean, you know, you ever have a night, you know, the kids are out, you pop on that Lethal Weapon soundtrack, you might have yourself a good 4.5 minutes of time.
I will say Lethal Weapon for music was more influential by far. Okay. But at the end of the day, if in my versus category, if I'm gonna pick, I will say,
you know what though? But Lethal Weapon, but Die Hard's also got more Christmas music because it's a Christmas movie.
Right.
You know,
that is the other great thing. It's the great Christmas. It's a great Christmas movie, and everybody disagree. You know, a ton of people say it's not a Christmas movie.
It's certainly a Christmas, but Lethal Weapon's a Christmas movie too.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I mean, it starts off when he's in the Christmas tree store lot, and
depending on which version you watch, right?
Is there another version where he's not in the lot?
So I've seen a TV version where he's not in the lot, where he's like opening up, going to like a shooter in a school. Then I've seen like a home video cut that's got both scenes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I think I have 2 copies of Lethal Weapon, and one of them has like is like the special edition.
I will give Lethal Weapon some credit. That was the first time I saw anybody use jujitsu in anything. He puts Joshua in a triangle choke.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too, when you talk about not aging well, have you ever, when you think about it, how often now would you have all the cops standing around while another cop fights one-on-one with with the bad guy?
I know, it's love that. It's like, no, leave him alone. Stay back. Stay back.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going Die Hard. I'll tell you, I'm going Die Hard. I think
listen, I'm going to go Die Hard too. I think Die Hard is just the one that just seems to. I feel like it wins, but it's really not by much. It's a lot closer than it seems.
Yeah, it is.
But I'll almost give it to Lethal Weapon just because I really like the scene where they go to Dixie's house and the kids are outside and they're like, "You're gonna bust Dixie," and like the one kid doesn't like, "Don't tell him your name. Don't tell him your name, Albert."
And it was a big guy or a tall guy, and that's when they points at the tattoo. And doesn't the kid have little 3D glasses on or something?
It was painted. Yeah, and I love when like people in movies have 3D glasses on, like in Back to the Future.
Yep.
I just love that. 3D glasses are like, if I ever made a movie, there would be a guy walking around with 3D glasses.
If they made Zombies Ate My Neighbors, we'd have 3D glasses.
Absolutely. They should totally make that movie. Hollywood, get on this. What are you doing?
Yes. Matthew Maple's in here. Matt, he says, Amanda says Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. I disagree 100%.
But it takes place on Christmas. Yes. During Christmas, the season.
Ends with Christmas music. Yes, it's a Christmas music. They're at a Christmas party.
Yeah, it's Christmas time in Hollis, Queens.
Yes. Which spawned the better sequels?
That's what I wanted to ask you.
I really like Die Hard 2.
Oh, see, this is where I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
So I think that Lethal Weapon's second movie is better than Die Hard's second movie.
Well, you've got diplomatic immunity.
Exactly. Diplomatic immunity. That's so good. Yeah, but you don't want to go to South Africa? Why not? Because you're black. I love what he says. Like, what are you doing? Oh my God. I really like Lethal Weapon too. It introduces Joe Pesci.
Mm-hmm.
Who becomes a constant for the rest of the series.
I do like Lethal Weapon too. But I like Die Hard too. But I'll give you crap on Lethal Weapon. The one thing is, all through the first movie, no one mentions anything about a bad shoulder. No one says anything about him having a shoulder that he can pop out of place like nothing. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Hey guys, look at this trick."
Yeah, well, it's the second movie. They got to add a little bit more to his character just to show you how tough he is, and like. But now skipping forward to the third movie, I give the nod to Die Hard because I thought the third Die Hard movie was a really creative way to come back with a sequel.
Yes. Yes.
And I know that that's actually a movie that was going to be something totally different, and they just brought it into the Die Hard universe.
Right.
But it's really a clever sequel.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Brings them back to New York. Lethal Weapon 3 is a big letdown.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now, let's go to the fourth movie.
That has Chris
Who's got
Rock.
the better fourth movie?
That has Chris Rock.
I got to give that to Lethal Weapon because I thought it wrapped the series up nice, and Die Hard 4 is ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. I like. I can't say that I like any after Die. I don't like. I don't mind Live Free, Die Hard. I don't like Die Harder or whatever the last one was with
was awful.
Was the one one in Russia with Jai Courtney?
What are you doing? What is this? Like, you guys, he's not an everyman anymore.
Ooh, Honor just comes in hot. He says Lethal Weapon 2 was actually better than the first. And then he says Die Hard 2 had a more lethal villain.
Die Hard 2 had Mr. McDowell.
I like the premise of the planes. I did like the idea of like all these planes were going to crash because it kind of gave you some gravity to the situation. I did like him run around the airport. I
like Die Hard 2 more so recently. I've grown to like like appreciate that movie a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do get, the original Die Hard's great, and this is like kind of more of the same,
right?
If not harder.
Mm.
But yeah, I do like Die Hard too. But if I had to rank the first 3 Die Hard movies, I'd probably go Die Hard 1, Die Hard 3, Die Hard 2.
Ooh, I'd probably go 1. I'd go 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I could put probably 2 and 3 really, really close together, but I like 2. And the thing about the Die Hard movies I like too was the first 3, or the way they were filmed. They just had that 80s widescreen kind of action movie. They defined what that action movie was supposed to look like.
Mm.
So yeah, that's where I would go. William Sadler, who killed more people than Hans Gruber? Yeah, he probably did kill more people because he crashed the plane.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's true. That's true. I don't know how many people died in the explosion though in the beginning of. Oh wait. Oh, he's talking about Hans Gruber. I'm thinking about Hans Gruber's brother in part 3.
Yes, but I will say Gruber didn't have to kill people because he was actually a robber. I mean, he wasn't trying to kill people. He was just trying to get away. Literally placed.
I believe it was Colonel Mustard in the library with the candlestick. Nah, dude, it was Professor Plum. Chris Ranger says that all the time.
You don't realize how many things he's been in.
Yeah,
and then you're like, oh my gosh, he's been in everything.
He's in everything. Wasn't he in Boston Public?
He's been Green Mile. He's in Green Mile. He's in Shawshank Redemption. He's in The Mist. Yeah, he's been in a ton of stuff. Wow, he's good. Well, I think we've pretty much come to the.
I think so.
To the end. I think are we both in agreement on Die Hard eking this one out? Doesn't mean that one's terrible or anything. It just
wins it by a hair.
Wins it by a hair. But Lethal Weapon can always come back in a best buddy challenge, and we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I think we need to find a buddy cop movie.
Running Scared. I will argue Running Scared all day long is my favorite buddy cop movie of all time.
All right, well, we'll come back to that later. We'll have a discussion about that.
Yes, but we are going to take a break, and now it's time for Honor Night with his review. Okay,
all right.
We're going to Honor Night. Where do we go? Here we go. Honor Night.
Hey there, bad movie fans. This is Honor Night from the Soiled Restroom Cinema Podcast, and this is my Hit It and Quit It.
Whip it out. I ain't got all night.
Boy, if you ever wanted to hear the late Ricardo Montalban spinning in his grave while screaming all of his dialogue from Wrath of Khan, have I got a horror turd TV remake for you. Released in February of this year, Fantasy Island is dreamed up with boring characters, lame plot twists, bad accents, and off-the-shelf fantasies so bad, they make Pornhub look like the Red Shoe Diaries. Michael Pena stars as Mr. Rourke, host to a tropical island that grants wishes for visiting guests. Just like the famed TV show from the 70s, the fantasies don't always turn out the way the guests hoped, and in this case, piles on a lot of unnecessary backstory that spoils the mystique of the island the way your Uncle Lou showed you how the pull my finger gag was done. The guests are about as interesting as watching paint dry, despite some very marginal efforts from Maggie Q and Lucy Hale. The fantasies all seem to be rejected stories from the TV show, only this time they're tied together in one boring overall mystery that gets dumber as it goes along. Honestly, how many times can we watch The Do-Over, Having It All, or Reuniting with a Lost Love Fantasy without wanting to throw up in your tropical drink? Pena, who's about as believable as Mr. Rourke as Michael Jordan is playing Sherlock Holmes, looks bored for most of the running time. Why would you hire a comedic actor and then straitjacket him from doing anything funny? That's like hiring a stripper for a bachelor party only to have her clean your toilets the entire time. Also, how cheap was this production he couldn't even afford a midget? Spoilers! Yes, there is a tattoo, but he's tacked on at the very end of this turd like the last piece of shit clinging to your asshole. I know that Jason Blum is essentially the Jeff Bezos of horror films at this point, but at least he could have kicked in a few extra bucks for another rewrite, decent practical effects, and a couple of Oompa Loompas. This turd barely qualifies as a horror film, unless of course you count Michael Rooker's hair as horror. If you see this one coming, just scream, "De crap, de crap," and go watch either the original 70s series or the 1998 reboot with Malcolm McDowell instead, and leave this lame fantasy alone. That's my hit and quit for this time out. For more cinematic turds and questionable humor, head over to signalsoffury.com and subscribe to Soiled Restroom Cinema. We're here to flush it, so you don't have to see it.
Alrighty, guys. Once again, Honor Knight comes in hard with a review. Wow. I had no desire to see Fantasy Island, and thanks to Honor, there is no way I'm going to see it now. Have you had any desire to see this?
No, sir.
Hey, guys,
I don't know that new movies exist anymore. I am stuck in the 80s and 90s and 70s.
And I guess I'm the one to stay up front and watch all the newer ones, so you don't have to.
Exactly. If Honor wasn't here, then I'd unfortunately have to watch these.
Yeah. Honor, you guys, I'll say it again. I say it all the time. Check out signalsoffury.com. Check out Soiled Restroom Cinema. If you want to have a good time hearing movies get torn apart for the entire movie, broken down, and just letting you know why you should not see these, but in a really, really fun way, check out signalsoffury.com and Soiled Restroom Cinema. You're just getting a little taste of it. You'll walk away laughing, and you'll find a new show that you can listen to every week. Thanks again, Honor, for doing this for us, because we just love having you do these reviews, and we look forward to hearing the next one. But we're jumping into, this is the end is near, and this is what we've been watching, the good and the bad. Is there anything you've been watching, Mike?
Well, I watched, like I said, I was watching Earthquake earlier, which was delightful. I watched Towering Inferno, which was, everything I remembered and more. Other than that, I haven't been watching a whole lot. My child controls the TV now, and we watch a ton of Word Party on Netflix. And I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically a bunch of babies learning words all day. And he's 8 months old. This has been going on for at least 6 months, and I know every episode by heart, and it's amazing.
So you're pretty much all into the little kid movies or shows.
Well, no other shows.
Just
shows would be like, a gun rack. Meaning that you would, need to own a gun or many guns to necessitate an entire rack. This kid watches one show, and that's it.
I had my niece was like that. She watched Turner and Hooch on a loop pretty much.
Well, I understand that. Great film.
It was a great film in my mind. It is no longer a great film anymore. I love Tom Hanks, but I saw too much Turner and Hooch.
Turner and Hooch is delightful.
Amazingly, my son watched Spider-Man on DVD so many times that we trashed a DVD. But I still like Spider-Man. All
right, fair enough.
I kind of went down a disaster / pre-apocalyptic kind of thing. I was sitting with my son Kirby, and we were trying to decide something to watch, and he kind of was in a post-apocalyptic mood and was looking for things, and he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, is The Happening as bad as what everybody says it is?"
Oh, okay.
And I was like, and here I'm sticking my neck out, because we did an episode called Defending Your Movie, where we all picked like 5 movies that we actually like, that we know is like, this isn't like a hidden gem kind of thing. This is movies that are flawed and aren't good, but yet there's some, like you said, there's things in it that you go, hey, the premise was really good. Yeah. And I told him, I said, no, The Happening, everybody got so mad about The Happening because of the premise of the movie. And I said, but on the flip side of it, everybody wants something new. They complain that there's never anything new, and somebody gave them something new, and everybody got mad about it. Now, watching it again I think this is about the 4th time I've seen it, I will say the acting is worse than I remembered.
Yeah, no, listen, there's problems with that movie, but anybody who is a fan of 50s and early 60s sci-fi man versus science kind of movies, this movie was deep rooted and inspired by stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I felt like this was a modern B movie.
Yes.
And that's why I liked it.
Had some chilling moments in it. I mean, one of my favorite scenes still is the guys coming off the roof where the construction workers are talking, and all of a sudden you see the body hitting the back.
Yeah. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I'm a movie fan and I want to be entertained and I want to grab my popcorn and enjoy my movie. So maybe I'm not the guy to ask when it comes to,
I won't tell you it's good, but it's not like 6% on Rotten Tomatoes bad either.
Yeah.
That's reserved for cats. And
at the Winter Garden Theater. Now and forever.
So I'll defend that movie. Wahlberg is bad in it. Zooey Deschanel. Put it this way: Wahlberg is terrible in moments, only to be made look better than Zooey Deschanel because she's really bad.
She's not a very. Oh man, can't speak there. She's not a very good actress. I only really enjoyed her in Elf.
Mm-hmm. She was good in Elf.
Yeah.
And what's the TV series? New Girl. That she's in.
I never seen it. But that gives me a little insight into what you're watching.
I've seen a few episodes.
Oh, have you?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Not a lot, but just enough to laugh because it's got Let's Be Cops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damon Wayans?
No.
The
other dude. He was in the new Jurassic Park. He's funny. But the other movie I saw, and this after we saw that, he was in the mood for more. And the next night we watched Take Shelter with Michael Shannon. And
I've never seen that.
Really, small independent movie, and I didn't realize the same guy directed that did Midnight Special, which I really like Midnight Special, and it's got Michael Shannon in it. And this was the movie that and it's got Michael Shannon and Bryce Dallas Howard. They play husband and wife. And he basically starts having visions of a disaster coming. So he starts building out their storm shelter in the backyard. And it becomes an obsession. And just you start wondering whether or not he's really seeing things or is he going crazy? And it's kind of that kind of mix. But the family dynamic of it, really good, really well done, really well acted. The end of the movie... They did one of the things that a lot of these small movies, they don't know how to get out of it, and they leave it kind of ambiguous in a way, but they kind of do a double swerve on you with it. But I really liked it. So if you get a chance to see Take Shelter, it's definitely worth a watch. You get to see Michael Shannon before that was right before he did like Premium Rush and started where he took off and then became Zod and Superman, and now he's he's a big character actor now.
Yeah.
But that's what I've been watching.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, Jeremy, he jumps in there. Brian says Marky Mark talking to a plan. And Jeremy's, hey, Tree, why are you trying to kill me, Tree? say hi to your mom for me.
Hey, Tree, why are you trying to kill me, Tree? Say hi to your mother for me. How's your mother? How you doing? How's your mother?
Where we got
Nicole, we're gonna be together forever. That's how it's gonna be. It's you and me.
Where else we got? Oh, Jeremy just rewatched Back to the Future trilogy yesterday. Still holds up. So much fun. Yeah.
Back to the Future trilogy is amazing. But I will say this: for the longest time, I really hated the third movie.
I was there for a while too.
But I hated it because I really don't like the Clara character.
Mm-hmm.
Like it always bothered me that she ruined Marty and Doc being able to just get away clean.
Oh yeah.
Just being a kid, just growing up with that was like really fucking frustrating. But now going back to it, it's actually got some funny stuff.
It does. And I kind of like the tie-ins with the Clint Eastwood movies. I like those tie-ins. I like how they tie in with the clock tower where they're by the clock tower.
Yeah.
And A Million Ways to Die in the Old West when you see Doc Brown's in the barn and they both exist in the same universe. I kind of get a kick out of that. It's just a great series.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with Back to the Future.
Well, Jeremy says, how did I know Mike could do a Wahlberg impersonation? Oh, this has been a fun one. That's all we've been watching?
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been watching. But I guess if I could recommend something,
we forgot
to the audience, we can do that. Let's see, what do we got here? So welcome everybody to Mike Ranger's Sex Comedy of the Week. Are you alone? Got time on your hands? Losing your mind? Need to get a grip? Well, I've got a movie that'll have you up all night. Selected right from the pages of Teen Movie Hell, the official teen movie guide of the Video Rangers podcast. And I'm going to recommend a classic from 1973, The Cheerleaders. This is a film that many consider to be the blueprint for the modern sex comedy. And you're watching The Cheerleaders. Listen to the tagline of this thing here. Come and huddle with the cheerleaders. This movie is outrageous. It's over the top. It's crude. It's everything movies should be. It just suffers from being a 70s movie, like a 70s grindhouse movie. So it's got the slow pacing, the hard to follow storyline. You can't really hear anything. The picture quality is terrible. But it's got the right amount of crazy raunchiness. One of the funny things about this movie, I noticed it in a lot of different like 70s sex comedies. They always go ridiculous with the sex scenes to where it's clear that nobody is actually having sex. Is like, yeah. So that's my recommendation of the week. The Cheerleaders.
Swing, swing. The Cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And on that note, guys, we're going to close everything up. And everybody in the comments, once again, thank you guys for joining in the comments and making this so much fun. If you guys would like to get a hold of us, Mike, where can they reach you?
Well, you can just simply Google Video Rangers Podcast and we will pop up on wherever you're listening to your podcast. Or you can email us at videorangerspodcast@gmail.com. Search for us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We'll be there. And if you've seen a bad movie, we're ready to believe you.
And you can find me and find the rest of the Movie Madness Podcast crew at moviemadnesspodcast@gmail.com. Call the voicemail 260-573-0015. You can follow us on Twitter. You can post on our Facebook page. Both of them are at Movie Madness Pod. And the final place you can find us is the Ultimate Movie Geeks community on Facebook. And remember, guys, we're going to be doing this every Friday night. If we have to bump it to Saturday, we will. It's just been fun doing this, and we're just going to keep coming back with more and more. And as we always end the show, night movie lovers, wherever you are.